Welcome to Xero Style. I am your host, Xero, the cyberspace hero. We're back once again this week in Xero's home arcade, and we are modding Killer Instinct. Yes, it is a sweet, awesome home arcade dream of mine to have a full-size arcade machine, and I have one now, but the controls that come with it are a little bit subpar. So what we're going to do today is we're going to install new IL joysticks, Industria Lorenzo, into this cabinet, as well as IL buttons with 0.5 milligram zippy switches. Actually, I already done it, so you can hear it. These sound so good. They feel so good. It worked so well. Now, it wasn't easy. I will be completely honest. I have literal blood and sweat in this cabinet. I haven't cried yet, but literally blood and sweat in this cabinet, and we're gonna see it together here. So I'm sorry that I got some wounds on my hands in this video, but it is what it is. All right, you ready to mod this Killer Instinct cabinet with me? Let's do it. Let's start this mod out easy. These are screw cap covers. They come in two different sizes in a pack, larger and regular size. They're color matched to your cabinet, and Killer Instinct wasn't labeled, and I asked the dude if he would put a white single one in there for me, and he gave me one of each size. Link in the description for his eBay auctions. Very awesome seller, and had a whole variety of different cabinets listed. Check them out. They're just simple little discs with a flat little top on them. Installation's pretty straightforward. You just stick them in there. Here's the one white one for spinal sword. Perfect. If you stick them in there and they don't really fit right, pop them off and grab the other sides, and boom. There you go. I think that it really makes it look a lot nicer without those shiny screws popping through. A little something that they should have probably included in the kit from the beginning. Gives it more of that authentic arcade look. I want to thank Arcade T Molding or arcaderenovations.com. They have a bunch of different domain names. It is a super great website where you can get arcade parts, real arcade parts, super fast here in the US. They ship internationally, but man, the US shipping is like just a couple of days. This is for an upcoming project, but I just wanted to shout them out because I got almost all the parts that I needed for this mod from them. Everything else I bought on Amazon, links down in the description below. They're all affiliate links that help support this channel. Next, we're gonna mod these joysticks. These are Industria Lorenzo joysticks right here. You can see the actuator and this little E or C clamp. We gotta pop those off. See right here? Put that in a safe place so you don't lose it. Next, we'll pull out the joystick and all the components will fall out. You can see that there's just a little ring there. Next, we're going to unscrew each of the cherry micro switches. I tried to keep the screws with them. Here you can see the innards of the joystick, the peg, the little actuator, also made of nylon. We need to remove this piece here to make it fit in this 3/4 scale cabinet. So here it is, snowing again, yay! I decided the best way to do this in my mind was that I was going to attach this to something strong and then just cut it off at that perfect edge. So I screwed it to a big block of wood, exactly along my cut line. Made sure it was nice and tight. Grabbed myself an old hacksaw and started hacking away. Nice and slow, I went right across, make sure you don't hit that center column. And I decided to come back the other way, just so I wouldn't get that column. After that, I unscrewed it to check out how my work went. Of course, the second one was when I recorded, and it didn't turn out as good as the first one. Look at all of this gunk here. No, we gotta get rid of that. Come on. And whatever you use in power tools, remember, put on your PPE, safety gear. Remember Lloyd Kaufman's first rule, safety to humans. Need some new goggles, don't I? I originally didn't want to make this cut with my Dremel because of all this gunk that goes everywhere, but I ended up having to clean it up with the Dremel anyhow. I'm not doing any cuts here, I'm just trying to sand off all the weird edges and make it nice and smooth so it'll lay perfectly flat inside the arcade. Here's our finished product, the two cut guys here. Managed to save the little IL Industria Lorenzo logo there. So, back to the cabinet, unscrew the bat tops, and you're going to take out the 4 deck protector screws from the corners. Make sure you grab yourself a little cup that you keep all of these innards with. Grab the dust covers, gently take off the lexan, Lift it up and unplug the wires. Flip the whole control panel over. Find 4 or 6 screws on the underside. Put those in your cup and reveal what the actual control panel of an arcade machine looks like. We're gonna have to cut all these wires that are soldered on here. Just grab some side cutters or snips and pull them out, these little edges. Fish them all through. Make sure you take notes of what color wires go where. Unscrew each of the 6 screws, holding them down into the control panel. Now I used a heat gun. You can also use a hairdrier. Man, when I tried to yank it out by hand, oh man. What you need to do is use your heat gun, and if it won't come out, flip over the deck and gently tap it with a hammer. Especially since these are joysticks you don't care about you're replacing, man, it pops off way easier that way. Shout out to Killer Arcades for that tip. Next, we're going to namesake to the rubbing alcohol technique here and clean up all that gunk. Making sure your joysticks are centered is super duper important. And I found a dude on Etsy who was doing Sanwa joystick centering jigs. And I asked him if he could make one for xero. So we measured it together with some calipers over chat, and he printed this for me. So you stick it right here into the front and then attach your joystick underneath so it's perfectly sticking out. Now you can grab your cut base that's going to fit, stick it right in there, and it's perfectly aligned. Now, that's centering. You have to make sure that it's straight still, and this is all on you. The centering jig can only help you so much in this stage. Measure twice, screw once. Got some wood screws right here. They're short enough that they're not going to pop off to the other side, but still be nice and tight. Put all 4 of them in the corners. You've got yourself new joysticks attached. Centering jig. Perfect job, man. Highly recommended. Link in the description for his Etsy store. Next, we need to reattach these Cheery micro switches. Like I said, I kept the screws in them, so it'd be real easy to just seat them in there properly and screw them into place. Hope you're ready for some bullshit, because man, this step sucks. Strip all of those wires that you cut earlier in this phase. Go ahead and just strip them and spin them around. We need to attach these quick connect sockets to each one of these wires. Feed it through just so the edge of the stripped wire is right at the tip, right there. Then crimp them shut. But, stupid Xero, I don't have crimpers, so I used a bunch of different kinds of pliers with mixed results. And man, this is no fun. A bunch of the red covers ended up cracking and falling off, and I wasn't even able to keep them on there. Make sure the wires are firmly attached to the quick connect itself. Who cares about those little red covers? Because half the time they're going to just fall off anyways. They really just very simply slide right on. Push one into one side, one into the other. Make sure you keep them aligned with the same order for each one of the switches. Super important, put your lexan back on, only chance. Grab your little actuator, slide it in there. These are made out of nylon, it's super, super smooth. Stick your joystick components back into the dust cover of each side. Flip it back over and set the joysticks on your lap.
It's the way.
Push down a little bit on the actuator, insert that E-clip. You really can do it by hand with ILs. Just push down, push it right on in. Make sure the joystick's firmly on your leg. And now we got perfect new joysticks installed in our Killer Instinct arcade. Alright, it's time for buttons. Each side of these buttons have 2 little prongs on them. Push them in and then slide the button through the front of the deck. Follow the wires all the way back to the board and pull it right out. There might be some glue on the encoder board, just get rid of that. Fish the wire through and pull the button all the way out. Throw that thing aside. Here are our new Industria Lorenzo buttons. They also use micro switches. See that tiny little switch there? The button itself also has a leg and switch in there. These 2 little arms with pegs go into the 2 corners just like this. They snap into place. And then as you push the button here, it clicks the switch. They come out the same way, just in reverse. Kind of push them to the side and they'll angle right out. They also come with these little nuts. You screw right on to attach the button to the deck real nice and tight. Real arcade pros use this tool to tighten them down super nicely. Alright, so we're going to push this right through from the front and screw on the nut a little bit, then grab our tool, put it nice and tight, and then kind of back it off, get it exactly where it needs to be angle-wise before you get it tight. And we're going to install our micro switch. Now if you look at the player 1 or 2 or whatever side of the deck, you can see I've already wired these up. I'm going to take the blue side on the top and the white side on the bottom and just put them right back into the encoder board. The whole idea of doing these buttons one at a time is that you can just rinse and repeat and not have to make a wiring diagram of which one was which. Just do them one at a time and replace the wire that's missing on the encoder board. The orientation of the buttons absolutely doesn't matter, just get them in there in a way that they're not going to interfere with each other or any of the other components in your machine. The ones along the edges are pretty simple to get aligned right and nice and tight, especially with the tool in there. But the ones that are close to the joysticks, they're a little trickier. So you kind of got to take care, follow your wiring, fish them out, tighten them in there by hand as much as you can. I actually bumped off the wires for the joystick here with this tool, so you know, your mileage may vary on how well that tool actually helps you out. Or maybe it was my crap job with the crimpers, I don't know. So yeah, get your buttons nice and tight, put them into the board, rinse and repeat. Do all 6 of the buttons on each of the player sides. Total of 12 buttons if you can't math. One at a time. Just stick the little quick connect, 0 latency wires in here. Now, this last button here was a little bit tricky just because, like I said, it was so close to the joystick. Take your time, get it in there by hand. I don't think I used the tool on this one. But I still managed to pop the yellow wire off the side anyhow. So just get in there with your switch, pop on the 2 quick connect wires, and then put it into the encoder board. Now, this one button was not long enough. So what I'm going to do here is just snip it off, grab another one, snip it off, and then we're going to splice these wires together. Strip them, just rub the 2 little center pieces together into whatever kind of knot ball thing that you can. Do your best to just get them super well attached to each other. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we're just going to grab a little bit of electrical tape and wrap them up. You now have spliced 2 wires into a longer one. Pop it into the encoder and we're good to go. Now I'm going to go back and fix the things that I messed up when I did this. I really think it was better to do the buttons first and then do the joysticks, but man, I really didn't like the joysticks in this machine more than the buttons, so I wanted to change those first. This process is maybe like a week long or so a couple different cuts. Make sure these are bent nice and tight so it doesn't interfere when you close it all up. Next, we're going to start the arduous process of cleaning up these wiring rat nests. What I'm going to do is just kind of bunch the wires up in the most logical places where there's some slack in there and punch them together with a little zip tie. I am no pro at this. Don't look at my haggard job as some sort of example, but this is what I did. Clip your edges there, and don't be afraid to unplug one wire at a time if you have it threaded through something that doesn't make sense. Just take that one out once again, put it in a more appropriate connection so you can bundle it all up together in one nice group and go on about your business. Remember that these wires hang down in the cabinet, so when you make these wire bundles, think about it in the third dimension, that they can hang down. They don't have to be all smashed together in there. But just do your best to try and get the wires out of the way of any of the components that move so they don't interfere with any of the action of your new arcade machine. Up next, we're going to clean up the plexi. I've got these foam blocks that are covered in sandpaper of different grits. We're going to start with this 60 grit course. We're just going to go all around the edge and really just scratch it up real good. This has LED lights in it that kind of shine through. So by quote-unquote frosting the edge here, by just scraping it up real good, I'm hoping that it's going to light up a lot more. I went all the way around all 4. Now we're going to take that 180 grit and we're going to do the opposite. And we're going to go really smooth along this edge because, man, this lexan had the worst edge. It was very uncomfortable on your palm while you're playing. I treated this just like a knife. Just try and knock the burr off the edge here of this plexi. Nice and slow, nice and even. Try and keep your angle. Then grab your Cosmonute towel and clean up all of that plastic. As I said, clean it up is your last chance to make sure there's no dust or fingerprints underneath the plexi. Put the lexan in there, make sure it's super clean. Only use alcohol. Don't clean with Windex on this stuff, it'll mess it up. Stick your joysticks in there. We're just gonna pop those E-clamps right back in again by hand, pushing them in there, holding the joystick with the other hand. Check all of your wiring connection, make sure everything looks good, and plug the 2 wires back into the encoder board. Grab all of your wires and angle it in on one edge so the joystick fits. I've got these other alternate deck screws here that I'm going to use that are black and flatter on the top. Screw all 4 of them in here. Don't go too tight and crack the lexan. You'll be so mad. Quick test. Make sure everything's looking good and power it on. I kept the old stock white buttons just so I could remember how crappy they felt. I had the hardest time doing dragon punches on this cabinet with the stock controllers. So just doing dragon punch after dragon punch after dragon punch with these new controllers, just because I could again, you know? It was amazing. This is 100% a necessary mod to a fighting game arcade1up cabinet, in my book anyhow. If you want a real home arcade experience, you gotta have real arcade controls. I got our frosted edge on the lexan here. It really pops. I love the like yellow red highlight all around the edge of this deck. It looks so cool. So, little note about this. So, these things blow goats. Don't use these. Use the same things that you did for the buttons on the joysticks. I didn't know these fast zero latency USB encoders were the exact same thing, or I would have done that. Use all of these in the kit. I also think that you should do the buttons, tie them up nice, then do the joysticks, tie them up nice, but hindsight's 20/20. Alright, so we're gonna unscrew the back panel here. What we're going to do is we're going to unscrew the coin door on the front of this cabinet. And unscrew these little covers here, plastic things. Line up 2 spots right in here. Don't be dumb like me. Use a ruler here and make sure they're lined up. We're going to grab our drill bit and we're just going to drill right here into the front of the cabinet. It doesn't have to be perfect, but man, I wish mine was a little more perfect. Grab a craft knife, make sure there's no little bits of MDF, wood, particle, whatever nonsense in there. Give it a quick test fit. Make sure everything is in there right. Put your cover on and be disappointed that you didn't use a ruler. Anyhow, grab your glue gun and squirt a bunch of hot glue on there. It's the inside of the cabinet, so it doesn't matter. As long as it doesn't squirt through too much, you're all good to go. You just want these things to hang out in the right place. Next, reattach the little red covers. Get another person or set something against the front of your arcade, because screwing these things back on in the machine was really tough without another human holding the thing for me. There's a free USB port on the top, so we're just going to plug this USB cable right in there. Reattach the back plate. I don't know why I don't use a drill on Killer Instinct. There's no reason I shouldn't have been using a drill here for this step. There's no reason. Work those arms, Xero. Nice and tight. Moment of truth. Hit the power button. Boom. Check out those much more arcade accurate light up coin doors. I think that it looks great. If you look really hard, you can tell my job is a little bit sloppy. But just at a glance, because that's what it's for anyways. You're just glancing at the machine to make it look better. It's awesome. Final mod for this cabinet today, I'm going to put these speaker grill covers over the big holes in the MDF that are there for the speaker now. Got some double-sided tape and just put it in between each of these edges here. I didn't want to screw it in because I wasn't sure I was going to really like it. I still am kind of on the fence. Now you'll notice I didn't pull off the cover. I thought maybe you'd be able to just have it like that, but no, the red just shines so hard. So I had to get tweezers and peel off the packing of the double-sided tape once it was in the cabinet. That was so dumb. Do this first before you stick them in there in the first place. Anyhow, peel those off, stick them in there real nice and tight, and boom, you got speaker grill covers. I think that it looks much more professional than the just holes that were there before. I kind of think that they're a little big. I still might try and find a smaller set for this, and that's why I use double-sided tape, because I can pop them right off. No harm, no foul. So here it is, my modded Killer Instinct cabinet from arcade1up for Xero's Arcade. Plenty of late night action like this going on. Well, that is the video this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like. It's the free social currency here on YouTube. I'm trying to branch out and not just do EDC stuff. This is a lifestyle vlog channel where I talk about the things that I like and that I do and that I'm interested in. Video games is top of that list for me, so you're probably going to see more video game content coming soon, so hope you enjoy it. Yeah, my phone has a Mario pause noise. That's a text message. Anyhow, I will see you in the next one, and if no one has told you today, you're a rad person who deserves love and praise just like everybody else in this world. Get out there today, have some fun, play some retro video games, and I'll see you in the next one. Later on.